Have you ever found yourself wondering, why did I just do that? Like when you end up buying a super cool but really pricey video game, even though you know there's a sale next week? Or when you agree to do an extra chore without getting anything in return? It's weird how we sometimes make choices that don't really help us, isn't it? Imagine you're planning the most amazing vacation ever. You're dreaming of going to Africa. Think of seeing lions, elephants, and incredible sunsets. But then you start worrying. You've heard stories about people getting sick from diseases like malaria and about places not being safe. This makes you a bit scared. So, you do what any smart person would do: research. You find out that actually, getting sick with malaria is pretty rare if you take the right precautions, like using mosquito repellent and staying in safe places. And hey, it turns out that many places in Africa are just as safe as the places you go to in your own country. But even with all this good news, there's still a little voice in your head saying, what if it's dangerous? You just can't seem to forget those scary stories. This thing happening in your head has a fancy name: the Availability Heuristic. It's like a shortcut our brain takes when making decisions. We think about stuff based on what we remember easily. This could be something we heard recently, or a story that was so wild or scary that it's hard to forget. In the case of your vacation planning, those few scary stories about Africa are making you nervous, even though you found out they don't happen a lot. The idea of the availability heuristic was first brought up by two really smart people, Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman, way back in the 1970s. They noticed how people make decisions based on what pops into their heads first, which can sometimes lead us to think in the wrong direction. This way of thinking probably started way back when our ancestors were living in caves and jungles. They needed to make super quick decisions to survive, like running away from a tiger or choosing the right berries to eat. Back then, remembering which berries made someone sick last week or which paths had dangerous animals was super important for staying alive. Our brains got really good at thinking fast, not slow and careful. But in today's world, where we have so much information and not as many tigers, this quick thinking can trick us into believing things that aren't always right. This kind of quick thinking affects lots of stuff in our lives. It can make us scared to try new things like riding a bike or trying out for a sports team because we remember that one time someone fell and got hurt. Or we might not want to save our allowance for something big because we remember that one time we lost money. It can even make us choose a president just because they're popular, not because they're the best person for the job. So is there anything we can do to prevent this? You're in luck because it's way simpler than you think. The first step to getting better at this is just knowing it happens. When you're about to make a choice, stop and think. Am I just going with what popped into my head first? Am I remembering something super exciting or scary and forgetting other stuff? Here are 7 things you can do to help limit your bad decisions. 1. Stop and think. When you're about to make a choice, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, am I just thinking of the first thing that comes to mind? Am I forgetting other important things? Sometimes, all we need to do is think on something for more than a few seconds. This allows our mind a chance to determine if what we are doing is in our best interest. 2. Create a pros and cons list. Like when you're deciding between 2 video games, list out the good and bad points of each choice. Think about what can happen right now and what might happen later. 3. Question the exciting stuff. Sometimes, stories or news can be really exciting or scary on purpose. They want you to feel a certain way. Think about who's telling the story and why they want you to feel that way. Are they trying to sell something? Are they trying to make something seem more important than it is? 4. Look for more info. Don't just stick with the first thing you hear about something. Look for more info from places that you trust, like books, reliable websites, or people who really know a lot about the topic. 5. Hear different sides. Talk to people who think differently than you do. Maybe your friend loves something you don't, or your teacher has a different opinion. Listening to them can help you see things in a new way. You don't always have to agree, but understanding different views can be really helpful. Differing opinions can help you gain a complete understanding of the situation from both sides. This will allow you to see blind spots and other things that you never saw before. The mark of a wise person is their ability to see things from many different angles. 6. Write it down. Sometimes, writing down what you're thinking can help make things clearer. You could write a story about your choice, like the great vacation decision, and see how it sounds when you tell it as a story. This can help you see if you're focusing too much on one part and not enough on another. 7. Take your time. Don't rush your decision. If you have time, sleep on it. Sometimes, giving your brain a break can help you see things differently when you come back to your decision later. By doing these things, you can get better at making choices that are really good for you, not just based on what you first think of or what feels super exciting or scary. You'll start making smarter, more thoughtful decisions that will help you in the long run. Remember, it's like being a detective in your own mind, looking for clues and figuring out the mystery of the best choice.